the next pool will have a bit of a track. The next pool will have like footprints. And then after that, nothing. Walk to there.
Start your fishing
there. That's where you'll find the fish.
G'day and welcome to another instalment of the Flyfishers podcast.
Since 1967, we've been spreading the bug of fly fishing at our Melbourne fly shop.
Join us as we celebrate the fun of fly fishing and chat with characters that enjoy it as much as we do.
Whether you're just starting out or have some experience, we hope our ego-free commentary helps demystify fly fishing and inspires you to visit new places and try new techniques.
The secret spot, that near virgin water we can go to that near guarantees success and solitude. We crave it, and we expect anyone that's holding a bigger than average fish or catching bigger numbers must have that secret spot. You might think finding your own secret spot would take months or years or countless fishless trips, but it doesn't. Finding your own secret spot is a whole lot easier than you'd think. This episode will be centered around trout, but you'll hopefully get some inspiration no matter the species or location. I'm joined by guide and cinematographer Mick Hurren, based in Yea in northeast Victoria. Mick has the most extensive playbook of secret spots of anyone we've ever come across. And so we bribed him with beer to teach us exactly what it takes to find a secret spot. Mick, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Andrew. I do think you just said it doesn't take time, but it does take a little bit of time.
A little bit of time?
Yeah.
So obviously a certain level of commitment is required if you're going to be someone that is going to get one of those secret spots, do you think?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
But you can stumble across it.
Right. So part of it is just getting out there and looking around.
Yeah, time in the water.
Cool. Mick, why don't we just start with a little bit about yourself? You've been fly fishing, for as long as you can remember, pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
How old were you when you got into it?
Fly fishing about 10.
10 years old.
So I'm...
Yeah.
Old.
Carry the 6. That makes him...
over about 38 years. Yeah. Yeah.
I think the interesting thing with you is that a lot of anglers probably have struggled for time to fish. They might be able to get out, one day a month. That kind of thing is probably the more typical scenario for most people. Whereas you've structured your life about being able to afford at least a decent quality of time because it is your addiction and you need it.
Yes. I can't live without it. No.
Is that a fair assumption?
That's a fair assumption.
Obviously in that intro, I mentioned that you probably got a playbook of more secret spots than most people.
Yeah.
Obviously, it is part of that the fact that you have got that block of time and, you've been committed to actually developing those.
Part of it is that I don't like fishing where other people fish. So even if I only have a weekend, like say I may fish minimum 4 weekends of the season of a month. So 4 weekends of a month.
Yeah.
I don't want to fish where other people fish. So I'll look at a map and I'll go somewhere new because the less people fish it, the more chance you've got if there's fish there.
Yeah. Yeah. So you think that is a fair correlation, that lack of fishing pressure with the quality of fishing?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess what you're saying is secret spots do exist.
They do. But if you tell people, they're not secret for very long. And then you have to find another one.
You wouldn't tell too many people.
No, only when I tell Peter, and then he's always there. So he doesn't get told anymore.
Loose lips too. I've heard him blubber.
They do sink ships.
Yeah.
He sunk his ship.
I think the other thing, before we get too far down the road of, the necessity to have these secret spots, it's worth pointing out that there are waters that are by inherent nature just reliable.
Yes. Yes.
So probably nothing wrong with people that go to the Stevenson or the Goulburn,
correct,
to the regular car parks and, inevitably they're going to get good success because they're fishing in fisheries that are just of another level.
Yes.
They're almost a freak, really, aren't they, some of these waters, when you consider the pressure that they do cop?
But a lot of those river systems are connected to a bigger river system like the Goulburn or something like that. So the fish populations will move around that system. So the fish that you're catching in the Stevo, if you keep it or if it's not happy, it'll get replaced by another fish.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's really good trout habitat. So these aren't... Are some fisheries a bit more fragile in that respect, would you say?
Yeah, or that they're not ideal all year round. So like say the Stevo's got a decent flow all year round. So there's fish there all year round where some of my secret spots, they're only good late season, early season. I wouldn't go fishing there now. It's middle of summer.
Yeah.
There's probably no fish in there. And if there is, I don't really want to touch it. But
okay. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Peter there, and that people actually trying to get spots out of you, out of other sources like Instagram and things. Does it surprise you the lengths that people will go to try and...
Not at all. Yeah. Not at all, because I think they think it's a silver bullet. Like you ask this person that looks like they know what they're doing and where to go, and then problem solve, catch fish.
Yeah.
And well, that spot mightn't have been, or that photo, they'll say I posted a photo, that might have been 3 weeks ago, and it, maybe
3 weeks later it's empty and there's nothing in there.
Or 3 other people know, or 10 other people have known about it, and they've told another 10 people, and then you rock up there and there's someone there, or it's been fished hard.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so the bit of that snowball effect, do you think? Like there's, even if you tell one person, then he tells 2 more, and then 2 tell 3, and it's,
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Does that give you the shits a bit in terms of, how do I put this? The necessity to actually keep a secret spot from other people?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's going to get out eventually. It always does.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. What are your personal thoughts on people that maybe troll Instagram, looking at the background and images, trying to reveal what spot they are, which river they are, that kind of detective work, and even going so far as putting sort of trackers in cars? And
I think they're missing the point of fly fishing or just fishing. It's... Well, I don't know. I don't go fish for a fridge full of fish, and I kind of get it if that's what your aim is. You want to go and load up your freezer. But most us fly fishermen, it's the experience, and for me, it's trying new places and fishing new water. And I don't want to go fish the same water all the time. That's part of the reason I've got such a big playbook, is because I'm not interested in going fishing the river I fished last week, or even the Goulburn. I just got to get a bit bored with
the one section.
Yeah.
Every time I fish with you on the Goulburn, we seem to be on a different part of it, and it's just because you got bored with that. We did that last time.
I'm bored after like one drift.
Yeah. But it does seem the norm, doesn't it, that people are almost desperate to know the spot.
Yeah.
It's like a sickness. They kind of get this, I don't know, they feel that they can't catch a fish unless they know that spot.
Yeah. I get messages from people I've never even met or haven't even heard of.
Sliding into your DM.
And then they slide into the DM, and they don't even say, hello, my name's this, or how are you today? They go, where's that? Or is that this? Is that the Goulburn? Or is,
wow.
Yeah, that's pretty boring.
It is, yeah. Do you think that people that have that kind of psychology could be snapped out of that if they knew how easy it was to discover their own secret spots?
I'd hope so. They only got to experience it, I guess, and then that changes your whole thought process.
Yeah. I kind of feel for also the guide that takes a client somewhere, and then goes to guide another client 2 weeks later on the same stretch of river, and there's old mate that he was with 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Do you think there should be some kind of unwritten, rule, not a rule, but you know what I mean, like just a courtesy that that sort of thing shouldn't go on?
I don't know how you get around that. You have to take your client a long way and confiscate their phone.
Yeah, put the blindfold on. Yeah. Do you think geocaching on phones has maybe changed the game a little bit? And how can, I don't know, personally, I just think, how can one sleep at night knowing that they've stolen someone's spot?
Yeah, I don't know.
Via geocaching.
I couldn't sleep.
No, it just, I don't know. If someone, especially if someone's put in the effort for it, I think we all need to respect. If they've been kind enough and generous enough to share that spot with you, just shut up. No need to tell anyone. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Like,
just shut up.
Just shut up. Yeah, but I generally think to stop asking people for spots. It's and look, we're all programmed differently, but at some point, I think fly fishers do need to put their big boy pants on and do the hard work and actually find their own stuff.
It may be like a gentle point in the right direction, and it's as simple as like, anything that runs into the Goulburn, say, for example, has trout in it.
Yeah.
They mightn't be there all year round, but there's anything that runs in there has trout in it. Be the same with the Yarra. It'll be the same with the Tumut. It'll be the same with all these bigger river systems, the Midder. Like, get your maps out and
I remember someone describing trout as being like rats. If there's water there and it's connected to a system that does hold trout, inevitably they find their way in there. And it may not be, as you're saying, all season, but when conditions are right, they're there. They're opportunists.
Yeah.
How much do you think the food supply feeds into that theory?
I don't know. Don't know with that one. I don't know how much of it's need to move to spawn, need for cool water.
Right. So water temperature, you think plays a real part?
I think it plays a real part, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll use King Parrot, for example, as it probably this time of year we've had lots of heat, lots of warm weather. Well, it's local to me, so I know how much rain we've had, and it's bugger all. And, I mean, I reckon you'd be lucky to find a trout in any of the lower sections at the moment.
Yeah.
It's too easy to drop out to the Goulburn.
Right.
Why would you sit in the warm water?
Yeah. When you've got a tail race.
Yeah. Yeah. You just got to think like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I guess the habitat and the time of year really plays into finding those secret spots in a way too. The more, how do I put this? What about the more major rivers though? Are there secret spots on the Goulburn?
Yes. I think any spot you can get to the Goulburn that's not where people get to is a secret spot. Like, not to say that there's not fish where everyone goes. I think, those fish move around. Again, depending on water temp levels.
Yeah.
Some days you'll see fish, some days you won't. It's
probably should talk a little bit about the season that we're currently experiencing. We obviously talk almost every week just to get a bit of an update on what's happening with the fishing up there. The Goulburn seem to have patches of fish and almost have, say, fewer fish in it at the start of the season than it had in prior. Do you think that's because a lot of those fish had moved into the feeder streams?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, all those streams are low now, so they'll have a lot of the fish had moved back into the Goulburn.
Yeah.
It's running high, plenty of cover, cold water. Like, why would you stay in the small stream?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, there must be a point though where as long as, like in a hopper year, for instance, the Rubicon,
when you say,
so if the food's there, it will keep them there maybe for longer. Yeah. But inevitably, if it's warm water, it's going to push them back into that. They're going to retreat to cooler water eventually, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we experienced this in New Zealand this last trip, is that sometimes they'll wait a bit long and get stuck. Like there's a little creek big fish that had no flow and still had fish in it. And one of my little creeks that I fish, if you fish it a bit late, it's almost like standing in a cup of tea and I've still caught fish in it, but they have no real way of escape. It's got that low.
Right.
Maybe at that point you should leave it alone because they will, I think a fish will find cover under a bank or the shadiest, deepest spot and just sit there almost dormant until
they're surviving.
Yeah, and hopefully they're rats, Yeah. One of them's going to survive.
Yeah.
But
then it rains again. Temperatures.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden there's fish in there again. So, we see this every year out.
Yeah.
Out my way. So,
yeah. So
try not to say where.
Don't give us away all their secrets. Do you think drought and flood plays a pretty crucial role in terms of a river's reliability and the reliable nature of a secret spot?
Oh, yeah, it changes. It's constantly changing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in Yea for 2.5 years. I think there's stuff I was fishing when we first moved there that I don't bother now. It's not as productive as it was. But that's, again, that's half the fun is, that's no good now. I'll look for something else.
Interesting. Yeah. What are some of the tools that you might use for finding these secret spots?
Google Maps, but I see you've got some maps there. And I do love a paper map.
Yeah, to anyone that was born after 1990, this is a map. This is actually printed material.
It's not working.
Hang on, zoom. But a good topographical map obviously has some detail that is often lost on Google Earth. Can you?
Well, it's more the you zoom out on your phone and everything's too small to see.
Yeah,
where you can lay that on the table and follow that with your finger right to where the confluence is, or it does have contours too, which helps.
Yeah. I think the maps with contours are necessary if you're going to go in the printed.
There's gates. It's got things that Google Maps doesn't have.
That's right. Yeah, fire tracks and all that sort of thing. I'm a big fan of printed maps. We can't sell them for love nor money at the Flyfisher anymore. But for Victorians at least, this Vic Map brand, and I'm sure that you can just Google them and buy online, but they are a really handy resource.
Yeah. They are good. Google Maps is good though. Like if you want to look at a specific pool or, and I didn't mention this earlier, but walk further too. That's the most of the secret spots you'll hear about are at a bridge, and if you look on the ground, the surface of the ground at the bridge will have no grass on it. Look next time you're there, and then the next pool will have a bit of a track. The next pool will have like footprints, and then after that, nothing. Walk to there.
Start your fishing
there. That's where you'll find the fish.
So it's just, strapping the boots on and just going after it, in a non-lazy kind of way.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be easy.
No. Otherwise we'd be conventional fishing. Chucking a worm on the hook.
The Flyfisher is Australia's source of the world's best fly fishing gear, apparel and fly tying material. Australia's undisputed home of fly fishing. Visit us in-store in South Melbourne or online at theflyfisher.com.au.
And that's the other thing, you've kind of touched on it and what encapsulates fly fishing for you. But It is a major difference between, say, someone that fishes conventionally to a fly fisherman. I think not necessarily looking for the easiest way to catch a fish, are we, to start with?
No. No, and I think you cover the water much better with the fly. Like, if a lure guy walks to that third pool, he still only puts a couple of casts across or up, and if a fish doesn't come and eat, they move to the next one. So they're sort of, they're only finding those fish who are triggered by a lure, not really.
Yeah. I'll tell you, going back to Google Maps, one of its weaknesses is in more overgrown streams, not really being able to tell whether it's wide enough for trout or to be more conventional fly fishing water. You're looking at me.
I'm like, I'm looking at you thinking skinny, too skinny for trout. That's not even a thing. And trees, more trees are better. Like if it's hard for you to fish, it's going to be better fishing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of my favourite stuff is stuff you bow and arrow cast down there, and if you find a gap to cast, that's an awesome day.
Yeah. Obviously those sorts of waters are something that you hold very dear, and you're attracted to those more overgrown, hard to reach to stuff. It might be worth just pointing out that some of the secret spots are quite open, quite accessible, but just a little bit off, people's radar.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I've got creeks that are in the middle of paddocks and there's no trees, and half the year you see carp in them, and some years they're dry.
Yeah.
Other years they've got fish in them. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So on a map and certainly on Google Earth, there's no blue line that you wouldn't follow
and
up
if you're not checking them all out, you're missing some.
Yeah. Right. Gotcha. Interesting. What about, water levels generally speaking though? Early season, you're probably pretty safe to go and explore some of these waters knowing that you're likely to get good fishing.
Yeah.
Is that a generalisation that's fair, or?
It is fair. I mean, some of these creeks that you walk up, they mightn't have a lot of fish in them, but they're often good fish.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
More through summer though, if you're searching for that secret spot.
Probably stick to more formed, like deeper rivers that can handle the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, you're not going to know unless you look. Like, we've got so many streams in Victoria. We're really blessed with so much water, and the majority of people fish a handful of them. Yeah. You only got to get up around the big river. There's hundreds of streams in there.
Yeah.
Which would hold fish all year round.
Yeah. There's a lot of country there that rarely gets
touched. Yeah. Stuff that runs into the Goulburn above Eildon. A lot of that's shallow, but there's stuff there. There's places there that people don't really touch.
It's funny. The big river is one that always kind of piques my interest because it's water flow, water temperature, obviously the quantity of fish. It's a very reliable one, and I reckon we don't. Like through the season, you might get only 2 or 3 people that ever mention it.
Yeah,
which is crazy when you consider where it is.
And that's just the big river, not the.
No, that's the main.
Not the 200
that's
streams
the one
that
everyone knows.
Yeah. So it's just got to get out there, and it's not that far.
Yeah, I think the funny thing about these secret waters too is they're secret, then they blow up, they get popular. And inevitably the fishing starts to go backwards due to how many people are flogging it. And then people forget.
Yes.
And then 3 years later, along comes Mick Hurren and goes, I might check out this little blue line.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, there's stuff that I used to fish, I'm showing my age here, but late 90s, like in the 90s, that's close to home. And we would go there religiously, like every weekend or a couple of weekends on the Goulburn and fish it, and be lucky to see anyone there now. And that was, I think, it's trout water. I just think people don't think it's trout water anymore. It looks like cold water. I think maybe that's good, especially the Goulburn. There's a lot of water on the Goulburn that looks like cold water, and it doesn't get fish for trout. I think just because the popularity of cod again, or not again, but
yeah, and it's also those early lessons in trout fishing on a river where fish line runs, and
that's all freestone, and you're looking for bubble lines, and you're not fishing timber, and
where's the head and the tail of the pool if it's all
flat? That's all. I guess it's that. But not every river can be that, and I guess you don't get the experience in those places unless you put yourself there.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a good lesson too. You wouldn't ride off a water that looks maybe a bit slow or discoloured.
Yeah, no, I'd be.
It gets you a little bit excited.
Gets me a bit excited. Yeah. And whether it's, maybe you're not check nipping it, or maybe you're not dry dropping it because it's too slow, but maybe you're pulling streamers, but you've just got to fish it differently.
Right. Okay, so that's a good lesson too. Different techniques for different water. I love it. All right, so let's say we've done our homework. We potentially have got our topographic map and we've scoured over Google Earth to find a thin blue line. Well, first, going back a little bit, is there anything else that we should look for in terms of going, this is worth a look. This is going to be the spot, but circling this one and going, let's do it.
I would have a few spots.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. I would look on a map and find, if I'm going to go to an area, I'd probably mark multiple spots because you might get to that spot and it's
just doesn't look right.
Doesn't look right, not accessible.
Yeah.
Then you probably got no reception and you can't look again. So
where
the map.
Where do you draw the line with accessibility? Probably
private property, but I mean, I'll look at the map and find the furthest part from a road or the furthest part from from an access point.
Yeah,
and maybe you've got to walk the river to get there, and maybe it's a day's fish, but no one else has fished there.
We almost did exactly that in New Zealand the other day, didn't we?
We did.
We fished the hardest to get to beat that there was. And it paid dividends.
It did, yeah.
Didn't see any footprints.
No footprints. I don't think anyone had been there because they looked how far it was and thought that's too hard.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so access-wise, obviously private property is out of the question, but the bridge and bridges are seen to be scattered on just about every river.
Yeah.
You could still access it from the bridge and then strap the shoes on, away you go.
Yeah. And, maybe it's bridge to bridge, and that bit in the middle might be amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Would you start fishing straight away as soon as you jump in the water at the bridge?
Why not?
In for a penny, in for a pound.
Well, you will notice, and it's this is really good experience, is that once you sort of get past those 3, 4, 5, 6 pools where people have got to, and then I almost always find this is there is a point where the fishing gets good, and then you're often committed then, and that's might be the second half of the day, but that's the good fishing because you've just got to that hard to reach point.
Yeah. I'm going to come clean and say that my secret spots that I've discovered on my own, you could count on one hand, and I'm lucky enough to fish with guys like you and people that know more than me pretty much all the time. What about accessing this stuff? Do you ever take a machete with you? Have you ever gone?
No, the thought has crossed my mind. And I have friends who've bought machetes. Yeah. But
what about
snake kit?
Snake kit would be handy. Yeah. EPIRB.
Yeah. Yep. Some kind of GPS-y type thing.
Yeah.
Is handy. Yeah.
These, trial and error, going to these spots and looking. Are you normally doing this on your own, exclusively on your own?
No, I love fishing with a friend.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I drag my mate Cam along.
He's a sucker for punish.
Hey, Cam.
I guess, from a safety perspective, it is worth mentioning that you are in quite often some of the more remote pockets.
Yeah, it's worth a a thought to how you might get out or I guess that having that EPIRB is really the...
It is, yeah. And at the very least, that the modern day ones you can text message from.
Yeah.
And
I mean, maybe you've broken your leg, but you don't need a helicopter, so at least you can text out and say,
I'm going to be
here. Yeah. I'm just trolling.
Yeah. What about ropes? Have you ever had to scale into a river?
No. We did fish a river once, and we were scaling around this cliff face and we looked down and there was a deer in the pool below us just floating around in a circle, and we thought, maybe we should have some ropes or something.
Because the deer had taken the wrong step.
You really don't have to.
There's a time when you should just turn around and go.
Yeah. I just like doing that, but you don't have to go that hard to find good fishing.
Yeah. No, good point. So, okay, you get to the spot and you've fished your way up it. What, as far as like test fishing it and going, I'm onto something here. What do you have any like rules or kind of ways of measuring?
Oh, not really measuring. I would fish it longer than you think.
Yeah.
Just
because you think you can come onto a patch of fish, or because
there are a lot of these places are a bit marginal, and they don't hold fish all the time, so they're not.
Yeah.
Fish aren't necessarily in the usual spots. I think we were talking about food earlier, and I think they're not there because of mayfly hatches, and they're not there because there's caddis, because the creek's marginal. It's probably not that food, so they're not really sitting where they might normally be. And then you just got to cover some water, because there might be a lot of fish in there, but you've got to give it a chance.
Yeah.
If you go a couple of pools and pull the pin, you're probably missing the...
Right. Okay.
I kind of think of it a bit like, say, backcountry stream in say, South Island. Is like there's not...
Plenty of them are devoid of fish.
Yeah, those marginal streams and those, they're hard to get to places. There might be a fish in that pool. There might not be a fish in that pool, but there's a fish in that pool.
Yeah.
You just got to keep looking and keep walking, and just judge just work out whether it's worth spending a whole day and coming out the other end or walking back.
Okay. And do you like diarise anything? How do you? It's all in. Yeah, you're one of those freaks that just remembers pretty much every bend and every cast that they made throughout the course of the day.
Yeah.
For a lot of other people that maybe aren't so gifted.
I don't want to write it down. Someone might steal it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, someone might screenshot it. Yeah. Don't put it in your notes file.
No.
The People's Republic are watching. Okay, so anything else, like as far as ticking and crossing off these, secret spot waters, is there anything else that we should know as far as access or...
I don't think so. Just put the time in.
What's the time in?
I know, like, for most people, they've only got, say, 1 day a week, 1 day a month or whatever, but do you want to go back and fish the same spot every time? I don't know. Like, do you want to go fish next to people? Some people do, I guess, but I don't know, live life.
Get out there.
Get out there, yeah.
Yeah. I've got a mate, Joe the mechanic. There'll be a few people that know who Joe the mechanic is. But he quite often, I ask him, "Oh, you been fishing, mate?" And he says, "Yeah, I've been for a bit of a drive." And that, and he literally has. On a Sunday, he might have gotten up early and he needs to be back at lunchtime to keep the family happy. He's just gone for a drive, and he gets onto some pretty rough and gnarly roads and goes and checks out these spots. He may not even string the rod up, but he's at least figuring out a bit of access in the short window of time that he's actually got.
Yeah. I mean, it's similar experience for me. And then once you've found a bunch, when you go for a drive, you go past this spot.
Yeah.
Oh, it's no good today. Water's a bit low. Oh, you hit the next one. Oh, the next one's good. We'll fish here. Like, you need to sort of bank some spots.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. And then, inevitably, it's all that intel you're putting it all together, and it's not guaranteeing, but it's certainly improving
your chances. And
chances.
It's never guaranteeing. Even your secret spots that I know you can buy them off. You can buy them now, your spots, but there's still no guarantee.
Yeah. Not all the listeners may know this, but you can now buy
a waypoint.
A
waypoint, yeah.
Insane. Like there's respected fishermen and guides that are selling their locations that they fish to people that are willing to pay money, which I think stinks personally. What do you think?
Yeah, it sticks.
I guess to the people that think that they can just spend money and get whatever they want at any point in time, to them it may be quite different. But inevitably it won't be their own spot. Like it may be, but it's probably someone else's secret spot too. And here they are selling these locations.
Who else have they sold it to?
Yeah.
Do you rock up there and there's someone else already there? I know, you put all this time in learning how to cast and you put all this time in learning how to fish and everything. That's half of it.
Yeah.
The other half's working out the fish. So
now I guess where we started, like you might have sold it to one person, but then that one person has screenshot it and sent it to 3 of his mates and it just snowballs.
Yes.
And all of a sudden what they're selling you is not worth a pinch of shit.
Peter's there.
Once someone's found these secret locations though, I guess what we're talking about here is maybe some tips to manage what they've discovered. So let's say you've fluked something pretty bloody special. You've got into this location that's not hard to access. It's got reliable water, cool water flows. Your fish size is averaging a couple of pound and they're rising to dries almost all through the season. How should someone best manage that information
or manage the fishery? I think is probably the main thing. I tell people, I'll tell someone from overseas who can't just go there every weekend, I guess. But it's just, if you're going to tell someone, just tell the right person, I guess. It does matter. You can tell the right person, they'll tell someone else. But for me, it's more managing the fishery. Like you find these places that, fisheries aren't managing them.
Not now.
There's no fisheries. There's no fisheries, right? But and if you find this amazing spot and you go there every weekend, the fish will start disappearing. Even if you're putting them back, they're not all going back as they should, or they'll move out, or that they will disappear.
Yeah. Some probably get educated too. Like they've seen that parachute Adams before.
Yeah.
And it looked a bit different to what they're normally feeding on last time, and they start signalling danger maybe.
Yeah. There's a bit of a story. I was fishing this little creek that I know not a lot of people fish it, and I see this farmer coming down the road and he pulls up, he jumps the fence and he starts storming across the paddock, and I thought, oh no, here we go, this guy wants a fight. And he goes, hey, and he goes, you're a fly fisherman? What? Yep. And he goes, oh yeah, cool, we like you guys. And that's cool story. And then he's like, no, I'll tell you a story. He was telling me this creek he used to live on, that him and his mates had found and was great fishing. And then they fished it and they fished it and they fished it. And then they were like, the fish are gone. What's going on, And then they finally worked out that it was because they were catching all the fish. There was no fish there anymore.
Yeah.
So you just go easy on it a little bit. Yeah. Go easy, yeah.
Respect that what you've found is pretty special and it's not to be exhausted.
Yeah. That's why finding multiple places is, sharing the love between secret spots and usual spots.
Yeah. So once you find that secret spot, don't draw the line at one secret spot. You need more than that if you're going to fish a bit.
Yeah.
We had an interesting conversation, you and I, in New Zealand, when we were sort of talking about ease of fishing and how, perhaps maybe 4 and 5 people only want easy fishing. They're not happy. They haven't had an enjoyable day's fishing unless they've experienced some easy fishing. And then there's maybe the 1 in 5, and probably being generous with 1 in 5, I'd say that are still having a great day, even when they're having shitty fishing.
Yes. It's me.
And me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, get out there, explore, put their big boy pants on it and try and find some spots that are maybe off the beaten track. Mate, buddy, great. Thanks for sitting down and chatting to the listeners.
Thanks for having me.
I'm sure it won't be the last time we get Mick on the podcast. Of course, you can keep up with everything that Mick's up to at Hurricane Fly Fishing on Instagram, and
mostly hanging out with you anyway.
Mostly in here hanging out.
The Flyfisher.
Yeah, Mick, of course, is doing all our video work on YouTube. If you haven't checked out the YouTube channel, The Flyfisher Australia, do yourself a favour and check it out. His work behind the lens is unbelievable. And if you're looking for a very, very good guide up in northeast Victoria, then hit up Hurricane Fly Fishing. Thanks for listening, and I hope you tune in to the next episode. Cheers.